Some other really nice attention to detail that that I really like that Jackson did is little things like this, buffing up the screw heads. Like, he didn't have to do that, but just that just looks good. And this little rod that comes out here, can you see this little trap work rod? Of course, those kinds of things are always filthy. They're just black and caked and gross. And it looks like he didn't buff this. It looks like he used the wire wheel on that, which on a part like this is okay. He's buffed up these little nose bolts. He did these on the drill press. You know about that, right, Jay?
Yeah.
It's very satisfying.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you've done some of that too.
Just putting the bolt into the chuck and then just different
Exactly.
grits of sandpaper. I've done that before.
Yeah.
With my tuning hammers.
Yeah, that's right. All of these tuning pins have been scrubbed, especially the outside. It just kind of cleans them up. But then he also used the Scotch-Brite in between the tuning pins this way and that way, just to kind of clean everything up. We're not looking for absolute perfection, like it's a brand new tuning pin, but just going over things, scrubbing them with the Scotch-Brite, and it really cleans things up, and it makes things look much nicer. I mean, if you look at the tuning pins here and look at the tuning pins over there, you can see, okay, it's a dramatic difference.
It's like a rusting mess over here. Or a dusty mess.
When the hammer butts are out to be repinned, which we'll have to go over repinning with you, because that's a very, very delicate, touchy kind of an art.
It was something that you showed when I first came, but I would definitely like
A refresher. Yeah, and it's not that difficult, but as long as you're following the steps, it's pretty easy. But you got to know those steps really well. And then of course the strings on some pianos we replace the strings. Some pianos we're using the original strings. This customer, as far as they wanted to go, they didn't want to pay for new strings, so we're using the original strings. But what we're going to do then is we're going to scour the strings with the Scotch-Brite and get them as clean as possible. You do not want to get cleaner on anywhere near the bass strings. That's important. Scrubbing them with Scotch-Brite, that's okay, just to clean them up, but not any kind of cleaner.
Now there is actually cleaner in the Scotch-Brite itself, right? Right in the metal with the Scotch-Brite. That's what Joe was saying. There is some.
It's an abrasive.
An abrasive, yeah.
Yeah, it's an abrasive.
I think some Scotch-Brites have soap in them, but that's
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking
No.
about in those
No.
pink or red ones that we have here.
No,
Okay.
those are just abrasive.
Oh, okay. I assumed that it was the soapy stuff.
No,
No, okay.
What does the cleaner do to it?
it destroys the
Tarnishes
tone. It really ruins the
It
tone.
gets into the coils, right?
Mhm.
It would just cake in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried that once, by the way, early in my career rebuilding. I tried, I thought, wow,
It's nice and shiny.
why not? Yeah, it gets a nice and shiny. I remember I suspected that there might have been a problem with doing it, so I just experimented on one. And it made the coils just super beautiful, just bright and shiny like they're brand new. And then you play it and it sounds like hitting the side of a bathtub.
It's because it's for bathtubs.
What's that?
Scotch-Brite is not for, yeah.
That's right.
Exactly.
So, you also don't want to get any kind of, especially when the piano's on its back, you don't want to get any kind of cleaner that's going to seep down into the pin block, especially not an oil-based cleaner. I think if you use TSP relatively sparingly around the tuning pins, just to kind of clean things up, not douse it, obviously not pool. It's TSP is water based. That's not a big deal. But any kind of oil base will again, especially when the piano on its back, the oil base cleaner will drip down into the pin block, and it'll ruin it. It'll ruin the pin block.
Yeah, oil seeps into the wood and just stays there.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that's
go
right.
away.
That's right, exactly. So you have to be super, super careful or aware, know what you're doing when you're cleaning around here. Okay, other little kind of touches that just really make this this piano look as close to brand new as possible. Again, this piano started like that one. It's kind of hard to believe, but
I have a before picture, so
you have it.
I have some, yeah.
Good.
I'll have to show you.
My favorite way to remove the damper felt is with a steamer. I love the steamer because it does a really, really clean job. The only problem is you have to mask everything off really, really well. I use tons of masking tape. You know how like on a surgery, if you've ever seen like a YouTube video of a surgery, the way they've got like the person completely covered, and they've got just like this little opening where they're going to make the incision, and it's like sealed around there.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what you have to do when you use steam on the action. You've got to seal everything completely off, because the steam just gets in everything in it and it ruins the pinning, and then you've got a much, much bigger problem on your hands. So, but as long as everything is sealed off like a surgery, then it just works wonders. And it's fast. It's much, much faster and much better. It's cleaner. You don't cut your fingers from trying to scrape the.
And you don't damage the wood.
And then you don't damage the wood. That was
Yeah.
the last thing I was going to say,
Yeah.
is that when you're using a razor blade, you're really putting a lot of
Possible.
tension or stress on the wood joints, particularly the pinning of the damper lever, right? So I think Curtis used a razor blade. That's what he preferred.
Yeah.
But
He's done it for years, right?
no, not years,
Hmm.
but that's all he was doing was basically cleaning an action prep.
Yeah.
So I guess that's up to you. We've got new felt on the spring rail. Of course, new bridle straps when the hammers were out. He put these in just so that the person that installs the new, I think it's actually you, Scott, that is going to be working on this piano, I think. Okay, I can't remember. He has that on so that you can duplicate, so that the person that does it can duplicate all of the angles, both this angle and this angle. Okay, so
So were the rest of them just thrown away
yes.
because they were junky?
So really, there's not like, there is kind of a checklist, but ultimately what it comes down to is the eye of the person
Tiger.
that's doing it. Comes to the eye of the tiger.
Exactly.
That's right. So you're just looking over everything. Okay, what would really make this look clean? What is standing in its way? Even like these things, cleaning those up and going through and okay, how are we going to get this polished? What we've done in the past is because these screws here are holding down this cable bar, pressure bar. We can't obviously take them all out at once, and so we'll take out one and then polish this up, and then polish this on the drill press or at least on the buffing wheel, and then put it back in, and then do the same thing with this one, just one at a time, polish them, so that you can do the whole thing without taking the whole thing out. When we're restringing, of course, we have the luxury of taking the whole thing out, taking it over to the buffing wheel, and getting it just absolutely gorgeous. But we're not restringing, don't have that luxury. So,
Scrub at it with Scotch-Brite? The actual...
yeah.
Is this the capo bar? Like this
Yeah.
actual bar? Okay.
Yeah, Scotch-Brite, but then what I think Jackson did, and we'll have to ask him, it works differently for different materials. Sometimes you're dealing with plating, sometimes you're not. So you might have to go down to get it to look shiny like that from, again, looking at, you know, what we're starting with.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, night and day, right?
Yeah.
Like this looks like an old decrepit falling apart. We do have a handheld buffer.
It's like pretty bad.
I don't think we've actually used it for that, but that's